The fact that a lump of yellow metal can command a price of over $1,000 an ounce is a source of mystery to many people. But when you look at the cost of exploration, as well as the cost of the labor and energy which goes into extracting it from the ground, to say nothing of the taxes and the regulatory burden, it becomes much simpler to understand gold's value. But there is a point at which every deposit in the world becomes uneconomical to mine. And when that point is reached, the decisions that have to be made have far-reaching consequences.
So there's an expression, mines die hard. They really are hard to kill. And they're hard to kill because when you have a mine that, let's just say, is losing money, that's an economic reason to close a mine. You might have 1,000 people whose livelihoods depend on running that mine. You have, if it's an underground mine, you have a lot of maintenance costs to keep that mine going. If you close it, you have to de-water it constantly. You have to keep the power on. You have a lot of equipment you have to maintain. An open pit mine you can do less expensively, but it still does have care and maintenance costs. And sometimes those care and maintenance costs are way higher than running the mine at a loss for a period of time. So mines die hard. It takes a long time to close a mine, and most companies will end up losing money for a long time before they bite the bullet and say this is hopeless. Miners are very optimistic people as a rule. We're born optimists, otherwise we wouldn't be in this business.
While it may be true that every miner is a born optimist, this optimism and this willingness to go to dangerous places in search of untold riches is certainly not without its dark side.
I mean, I've had cerebral malaria, I've had toxoplasmosis, various parasites that have almost killed me. I've had helicopter crashes. I was in a plane crash that destroyed the plane and I had to climb out the window. I've fallen in crevasses. I've I've been in riots. I almost was killed in Liberia in a riot in Liberia. I've been tear gassed in Bolivia, God knows how many times. I mean, and of course, the real, you know what the real carnage is in the exploration industry? It's cars. It's bad roads in bad places and people getting in accidents in cars. And so how many geologists that I know and actually have worked with in my company who've died in car crashes, I can count them on two hands, which is a lot. 3 guys from my class have been shot in hot places. 2 of them were shot in getting out of a helicopter in Philippines, in Mindanao, and 1 was killed in South America by bad guys. It's a very dangerous business, but I love it so much that I embrace that kind of risk, and it's worked for me, and I'm still alive, and so here we are.
The challenges associated with finding and mining this strange yellow metal increase every year, and as the process has evolved over the last half-century, mining company CEOs are finding those challenges harder and harder to solve.
The mining industry has been a hard industry to operate in for the last 30 years. And the aura of respect surrounding mining is somewhere below that surrounding garbage collection. And the consequence of that is that many competent people would choose a job in any career other than mining. The people that you see in the executive ranks of mining companies are largely of my generation, which is to say old. While they have experience, we're beginning to lack legs in the industry.
The biggest challenge I think that gold mining CEOs have today is that none of them that I've met, and I've met dozens or hundreds of them, really understand what gold is. They mine gold as if it were copper, as if it were tin, as if it were other things. And you should mine gold in a very different way because gold is a very different dynamic given its stock to flow ratio, and given the fact people hoard gold, they don't consume it. If you go back before the 70s, when people understood gold, the impetus was to have your gold mine last as long as it could. And again, this is something that no mining CEO that I have ever come across understands, and because they're trained to look at it as their commodity, and it isn't. And as a result, the entire gold mining industry is massively misallocates its capital.
Let's say it's 1 gram per ton is equivalent basically to 1 part per million. So what we're saying is that in 1 million grains of sand, 1 of those grains of sand is going to be gold. So it's not much at all, but that can make money. So that's sort of the scale we're looking at. And the complexities involved in figuring that out is unbelievable. Because consider, we're drilling a hole 300 meters down into an ore body, looking for an ore body. It's going to be 100, 200 meters wide, etc. Your drill hole covers an area that big. You cut that in half, crush that half of the core, down, and then you extract a 30-gram sample, and that 30-gram sample, whatever that is meant to represent an area 25 by 25 by 25. So you can kind of see the complexity and issues we deal with here. The first time I found a gold mine, I mean, a bunch of times I thought I did but didn't, but the first time I actually did, I was working in Honduras, funded by some guy out of Australia, and working on this conceptual idea of these hot springs that are forming gold deposits. So I went, got the geologic maps, which were pretty poor. And in fact, at that point in Honduras, you could only get a map from the government, and they cut all sorts of bits and pieces out of it, so it was really difficult. And what I saw on the map was La Tembladera, which is bubbling hot spring. So I went there and found a big outcrop of silicified brecciated sinter, which is hot springs deposit. And that never carried anything. It wasn't much gold in that. Yet on the sides, on the fault, over here in this rock type, which is all the hell, I started picking up some good numbers, 7, 8 grams gold. You're like a detective. You're trying to figure out what happened on this piece of ground 1 million, 10, 100 million, billion years ago, based on a little bit of data. So it's always fascinating to me, just figuring that sort of thing out. And if you get it right, it's incredible feeling like, wow, I got it right. It's working. It doesn't happen that often, but as a geologist, I mean, that's what I love. No matter where I go in the world, I've always got rocks to look at and think at, and I like that.